Hello guys. Welcome again to our video, where we show some review questions, in preparation for licensure examination for fisheries professionals. In this episode, we will discuss 20 questions related to aquaculture. So, without further ado, let's begin. Question number 81. In which lunar phase, when tidal water exchange in ponds is possible? A. During full moon and new moon. B. During new moon and last quarter. C. First quarter and last quarter. D. Full moon and first quarter. The correct answer is A. During full moon and new moon. The difference in the seawater level between successive high and low waters is called the tidal range. Generally, tidal range is maximum during the new and full moons, and minimum during the first and last quarter of the moon. The difference in the height between the mean higher high tides and the mean lower low tides is called the diurnal range. During full and new moons, spring tides occur, wherein the high tide is higher than usual, and low tides are lower than usual. Question number 82. Which of the following is an example of closed culture system? A. Gauge. B. Pen. C. Tank. D. Pond. The correct answer is C. Tank. There are three basic categories of culture systems. They are the open systems, the semi-closed systems, and the closed systems. Open systems are generally fish farming in natural bodies of water, such as in oceans, bays, estuaries, coastal lagoons, lakes or rivers. It is the most often used for commercial and recreational fisheries, because it is low cost, and requires minimal management. In a modified open system, the fish are confined in enclosures, such as net pens, floating cages, baskets, trays, etc. Semi-closed systems are those in which the culture water makes one pass through the system, and is being discharged. Fish ponds are a good example. Lastly, for closed systems, it is where the water is reconditioned and recirculated to culture units. It is also called as closed recirculating systems. Tanks are example of closed systems. Question number 83. 8 bags of urea were used to fertilize a 10-hectare pond. Assume that there are 25 kilograms per 1 bag of fertilizer. How much nitrogen is used? A. 88 kilograms. B. 90 kilograms. C. 92 kilograms. D. 95 kilograms. The correct answer is C. 92 kilograms. So, how did we get it? The given information are: the area is 10 hectares. Urea's nutrient composition is 4600, which means it has 46% nitrogen. The number of bags of urea used is 8 bags. In this case, the formula to be used is: the amount of nitrogen used is equal to the weight per bag, multiplied by the number of bags, and multiply it again by the percent nitrogen in the fertilizer, which is 46%. That is, 25 kilograms per bag, multiplied by 8 bags, and multiplied by 0.46. The answer is 92 kilograms. Question number 84. Pond preparation is one of the most important components of fish culture, and may affect production yields if not properly done. Which of the following activities is not part of the pond preparation? The choices are: A. Liming. B. Drying. C. Pest and predator control. D. Feeding. The correct answer is D. Feeding. Feeding is not an activity in pond preparation. The pond preparation activities include the following: soil sampling, leaching, pond drying, tilling, control of undesirable species, liming, and fertilization. In soil sampling, soil samples are collected for pH and organic matter contents analyses. Collection of samples are done on wet or moist soil using soil auger, or an improvised sampler made of bamboo, or a PVC pipe. Leaching is done by flushing and washing the pond bottom with water, to leach away undesirable metallic compounds like aluminum, iron and excess sulfur ions. It is done in acidic pond soil. Pond drying is the most practical, cheap and effective method of eliminating unwanted species prior to culture period. Drying oxidizes harmful chemical substances, especially sulfides, and facilitates mineralization of organic matter. The pond is considered dried when the soil cracks or when it is firm enough to hold one's weight without sinking more than 5 centimeters on walking over the surface. Plowing is the another term for tilling. It improves bottom soil quality by exposing subsoil to the atmosphere, speeding up the oxidation process and the release of nutrients that are locked in the soil. In control of undesirable species such as pests, competitors and predators consist of crustaceans, mollusks, reptiles, amphibians, birds and mammals are unwanted. Competitors can compete for space, food, and oxygen with the cultured species. Liming is the application of calcium and magnesium compounds to the soil for the purpose of reducing soil acidity. It is usually applied during or after the pond drying stage. And the last activity is fertilization. Fertilization is an important and necessary step in extensive and semi-intensive methods of farming operations. It is the usual way of increasing the carrying capacity of a pond, which is to improve its natural fertility through the addition of organic or inorganic fertilizers. Question number 85. What do you call the soils characterized by its great acidity, and by the presence of generally abundant yellow mottles of iron sulfate compound and red tinges of iron oxides, after exposure to air and bacterial activity from mineral containing iron and sulfur? The options are: A. Sulfuric soils, B. Jarosite, C. Pyrite, D. Acid sulfate soils. The correct answer is D. Acid sulfate soils. Sulfuric soils are soils that are high in sulfur compounds. Jarosite is a family of iron hydroxysulfate minerals that commonly occur in acidic, sulfate-rich environments, and mining and ore processing wastes. On the other hand, pyrite is a shiny yellow mineral, consisting of iron disulfide and typically occurring as intersecting cubic crystals. Question number 86. Brackish water is a mixture of seawater and freshwater, usually with classified salinity levels of blank. A. 0.5 to 30 parts per thousand. B. 10 to 18 parts per thousand. C. 15 to 25 parts per thousand. D. 20 to 25 parts per thousand. The correct answer is A. 0.5 to 30 parts per trillion. According to National Ocean Service of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration or NOAA, the salinity level of brackish water environment, such as estuaries, varies from one to another, with range from 0.5 to 30 parts per trillion. One estuary can change from one day to the next, depending on the tides, weather, or other factors. Waters with less than 0.5 parts per thousand salinity is considered as freshwater, while waters with more than 35 parts per thousand is considered as marine. Question number 87. What is the nitrogen composition of a complete fertilizer, with nutrient composition of 14-14-14? A. 14%. B. 16%. C. 28%. D. 42%. The correct answer is A. 14%. All fertilizer labels have 3 bold numbers. The first number is the amount of nitrogen. The second is phosphorus as percent phosphorus oxide or P2O5. And the third number is the potassium as percent muriate of potash or K2O5. These 3 numbers represent the primary nutrients, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. This label, known as fertilizer grade, is a national standard. Fertilizer grades are made by mixing 2 or more nutrient sources together to form a blend, that is why they are called mixed fertilizers. A bag of 14-14-14 fertilizer contains 14% nitrogen, 14% phosphate, and 10% potash. Question number 88. Which of the following instruments measure water turbidity? A. Refractometer. B. Secchi disc. C. pH meter. D. De-aminated. The correct answer is B. Secchi disc. Secchi disc is an 8-inch diameter disc with alternating black and white quadrants that is lowered into the water column until it can no longer be seen from the surface. The point at which the disc disappears is a function of the lake turbidity. It is the easiest and least expensive method in determining water turbidity. On the other hand, refractometer measures the salinity of the water. pH meter measures the pH of the water. De-aminated measures dissolve level of the water. Question number 89. A newly renovated pond will be operated with a stocking rate of 3 individuals per square meter. If the pond has an area of 2.5 hectares, what should be the total stocking density at the start of the operation? A. 68,000 pieces. B. 75,000 pieces. C. 77,000 pieces. D. 79,000 pieces. The correct answer is B. 75,000 pieces. How did we get the correct answer? The given data are: the area of fish pond, which is 2.5 hectare. There are 10,000 square meters in 1 hectare. The recommended stocking density, which is 3 individuals per square meter. The formula to be used is: the total stocking density is equal to the recommended stocking density multiplied by the area. That is, 3 individuals per square meter multiplied by 10,000 square meters per hectare multiplied by 2.5 hectare. The product is 75,000 pieces or individuals. Question number 90. Dissolved oxygen is one of the important factors to consider in fish production. The ideal level of DO is at least 5 parts per million. Question: in what period, when the DO level is lowest? A. Between 1 to 2 a.m. B. Between 4 to 6 a.m. C. Between 6 to 8 p.m. D. Between 8 to 10 p.m. The correct answer is B. Between 4 to 6 in the morning. Plants, in general, only produce oxygen when light is available for photosynthesis. Large daily fluctuations in dissolved oxygen are characteristic of bodies of water with extensive plant growth. DO levels rise from morning through the afternoon as a result of photosynthesis, reaching a peak in late afternoon. As the photosynthesis stops at night, both plants and animals continue to respire and consume oxygen. As a result, DO levels fall to a low point just before dawn, and may dip below 4 mg per liter in such waters. Question number 91. Formulate a fish diet containing 30% protein, using these ingredients: fish meal with 65% crude protein, and rice bran with 8% crude protein. How much of each ingredient is needed to make up a 1 kg diet? A. 386 grams fish meal, and 614 grams rice bran. B. 423 grams fish meal, and 577 grams rice bran. C. 614 grams fish meal, and 386 grams rice bran. D. 577 grams fish meal, and 423 grams rice bran. The correct answer is A. 386 grams fish meal, and 614 grams rice bran. So, how did we get the answer? The crude protein content of fish meal is 65%. The crude protein content of rice bran is 8%. We need to formulate a diet with 30% desired crude protein. Using these information, we will use the Pearson's square method. In this case, we will draw a square and put the desired crude protein in the middle. After such, we will put the crude protein of fish meal and rice in the left side. We subtract the crude protein of fish meal to the desired crude protein. The answer is 35. Similar thing will be done to the rice bran. We subtract 30 with 8, and the answer is 22. 22 plus 35 is equal to 57. To compute the percent of fish meal to be added, we 22 divide by 57 and multiply it by 100, which is equal to 38.6%. It means that in every 100% diet, 38.6% is the fish meal. On the other hand, to compute the percent of rice bran to be added, we 35 divided by 57 and multiply it by 100, which is equal to 61.4%. This means that in every 100% diet, 61.4% is the rice bran. Since we need a 1 kilogram diet, we multiply 38.6% with 1000 grams, which is equal to 386 grams of fish meal. Meanwhile, we multiply 61.4% with 1000 grams, and the product is 614 grams rice bran. Question number 92. What do you call the ingredients that are added to formulations to make up for the weight or bulk needed to give the desired composition, without adding nutrients to the feed? The options are: A. Mold inhibitors, B. Binders, C. Fillers, and D. Antioxidants. The correct answer is C. Fillers. Fillers do not have nutrient value, they are just for additional weight. Mold inhibitors are substances which has a function to suppress generation of NBSP, molds. On the other hand, binders are products that are used to bind, glue or hold the various feed ingredients together, in order to maintain pellet integrity. Meanwhile, antioxidants prevent oxidative losses of vitamins A and E, and pigmenters in stored mixed feeds. They stabilize critical oxidation-susceptible nutrients that are naturally present in a fish feed, composed of several feedstuffs, so that losses are minimal from mixing and storing. Question number 93. When normally orange and white goldfish were crossed, their offspring is likely to have A. All orange color, B. 1 orange, 1 white, C. 1 orange, 3 white, D. 3 orange, 1 white. The correct answer is B. 1 orange, 1 white. How did we get the answer? Here are the steps. Step 1. We determine the genotypes of the parent organisms. Step 2. We write down the cross for mating. Step 3. We draw a p-square. Step 4. We split the letters of the genotype for each parent, and put them outside the p-square. Step 5. We determine the possible genotypes of the offspring, by filling in the p-square. Step 6. We summarize the results, which is the genotypes and phenotypes of the offsprings. Question number 94. Which of the following microorganisms is the smallest? A. Fungi, B. Virus, C. Bacteria, D. Parasites. The correct answer is B. Virus. Viruses are usually much smaller than bacteria, with the vast majority being submicroscopic, generally ranging in size from 5 to 300 nanometers. The size of fungi ranged from 2 to 20 microns. The common size of bacteria is between 0.2 and 2 microns. The virus is so small that even a bacterium can be infected by a virus called bacteriophage. A bacteriophage is a type of virus that infects bacteria. In fact, the word bacteriophage literally means bacteria eater, because bacteriophages destroy their host cells. Question number 95. Which of the following is not a factor in fish pond site selection? A. Near factories and other industrial establishments, B. Availability of fry for stocking from the wild or nearby hatcheries, C. Peace and order situation in the locality, D. Physico-chemical parameters are stable. The correct answer is A. Near factories and other industrial establishments. The fish pond selected must not be near factories and other industrial establishments, to avoid disturbance and pollution to the culture species. The other options are essential criteria in fish pond selection. The other factors include the following: topography and ground elevations, soil, water supply, quantity and dynamics, physical and chemical features of water, productivity, fouling or availability of spat, for mollusk culture, type and density of vegetation, and socio-economic factors. Question number 96. Which group of fish requires the highest crude protein in their diet? A. Carnivores. B. Herbivores. C. Detritivores. And D. All of these. The correct answer is A. Carnivores. Carnivorous fish requires 40 to 50% crude protein in their diet. Carnivorous species are very efficient at using dietary protein and lipid for energy, but less efficient at using dietary carbohydrates. The efficient use of protein for energy is largely attributed to the way in which ammonia from de-aminated protein is excreted via the gills with limited energy expenditure. The foods carnivorous species eat contain little carbohydrate, so they use this nutrient less efficiently. On the other hand, herbivorous and omnivorous species require less dietary protein than some carnivorous species, which ranges from 25 to 35% crude protein. Question number 97. What do you call the process of mixing together various feed ingredients, vitamins and mineral supplements, and additives, at the right proportion to produce a nutritionally balanced diet? A. Feed nutrition. B. Feed formulation. C. Proximate composition. D. Stock management. The correct answer is B. Feed formulation. In most animal diets, protein is the most expensive portion and is usually the first nutrient that is computed in diet formulation. The energy level of the diet is then adjusted to the desired level by addition of high energy, which are less expensive than protein supplements. The square method is an easy way to determine the proper dietary proportions of high and low protein feedstuffs, to add to a feed to meet the dietary requirement of the animal to be fed. Question number 98. What do you call the ingredients used to wean larvae from live food to artificial diet? It also replaces a practical feed with unconventional protein sources. The options are A. Antioxidants. B. Attractants. C. Enzymes. And D. Pigments. The correct answer is B. Attractants. Antioxidants prevent oxidative losses of vitamins A and D and pigmenters in stored mixed feeds. They are also used to stabilize critical oxidation-susceptible nutrients that are naturally present in a fish feed composed of several feedstuffs, so that losses are minimal from mixing and storing. The enzyme's role is to increase the availability of nutrients, increase absorption of nutrients during digestion, increase fish growth rates, and assist in the survival and thriving of fish in the larval stage. On the other hand, pigments increase the pigment or coloration of the culture fish, for it to be attractive to the potential buyer. Question number 99. Which of the following is not an essential amino acid? A. Phenylalanine. B. Valine. C. Isoleucine. D. Aspartic acid. The correct answer is D. Aspartic acid. Essential amino acids are amino acids that cannot be made by body, and must be supplied through the diet or food. Depending on the references, some examples of essential amino acids are leucine, isoleucine, valine, histidine, lysine, methionine, phenylalanine, threonine, and tryptophan. On the other hand, non-essential amino acids are amino acids that can be made or synthesized by our body. The examples are the alanine, arginine, asparagine, aspartic acid, cysteine, glutamic acid, glutamine, glycine, proline, serine, and tyrosine. For our last question in this episode: which of the following enzymes catalyzes starch? A. Cellulase. B. Lipase. C. Trypsin. D. Amylase. The correct answer is D. Amylase. Cellulase catalyzes cellulose, a major component of plant cell wall. Lipase catalyzes fats and lipids. And trypsin is an enzyme that catalyzes proteins. And now, it's time to reveal the answer in our previous episode's fun question. The answer to episode 3's fun question is Lamprey guttatus, or commonly known as sunfish, or OPA. We would like to congratulate our winners in episode 3 fun question. Here's our fun question for this episode. The Southeast Asian Fisheries Development Center, or SEAFPIC, is an autonomous intergovernmental body, mandated to develop and manage the fisheries potential of the region, by rational utilization of the resources for providing food security and safety to the people and alleviating poverty, through transfer of new technologies, research and information dissemination activities. The SEAFPIC, through the NBSP, Secretariat located in Thailand, and has 5 technical departments, namely: Training Department, the Marine Fisheries Research Department, the Aquaculture Department, the Marine Fishery Resources Development and Management Department, and the Inland Fishery Resources Development and Management Department. The question is: in what year did SEAFPIC was established? A. 1963. B. 1965. C. 1967. D. 1969. That's all for this episode. We hope that this video helped you in your review for the upcoming licensure examination for fisheries professionals. If you enjoy this video, please hit the like and subscribe buttons if you are not subscribed yet. Until the next episode, keep safe.